The University of Toronto hosted a panel discussion this week featuring journalists talking about the topic of fake news. So I thought I'd check it out and see what steps journalists are taking to combat fake news. But before I get to that, let me show you this weird thing that happened.
Can I ask a question, actually, of the crowd?
Do you wanting an answer from the crowd?
Well, specifically, do we have a couple of representatives from Rebel Media here tonight? There's one person from the Rebel, two people from the Rebel.
Whoa, that took me off guard. Wasn't expecting that, but really, I shouldn't have been surprised. I guess they wanted to see if any real journalists were there who were going to ask tough questions. I wanted to stand up and say something, but I thought it'd be better if I just bit my tongue and see what he had to say.
When I saw the video of those Catholic schoolboys taunting and mocking that Indigenous elder, that also gets an emotional response. And what is my impulse to share that? My impulse to share that, am I informing people, or am I saying, God damn it, this makes me angry and I want it to make you angry too? And then there's a very familiar thing that happens where the other side says, well, that was fake news and you got to see the whole thing. I spent a good part of it takes a lot of work to figure out what the hell is going on. And people were so angry on the other side that this was just complete fabrication. If you watch all the videos together, it was helpful to get the context to know what had happened from beginning to end. It didn't change at all that was this pack of aggressive, hostile boys who were mocking and physically threatening in a disgusting way an Indigenous elder. It's just a lot of work to know what's going on. And
Did you get that? Jesse Brown was talking about the Covington Catholic students. They are those young men in MAGA hats who had a standoff with a Native American man, Nathan Phillips. They said that the Covington kids were yelling obscenities at the Native American man and harassing him. In fact, it was the other way around. These kids were waiting for a bus doing a school chant when they were harassed by activists. They never chanted "Build the Wall" or anything obscene. There's a 2-hour video of the whole incident you can watch, and multiple others, proving that the media's initial narrative that these kids were hateful racists was false. So, a panel convened to talk about how to combat fake news is actually spewing fake news. And did you notice that everyone up there is from a liberal media organization? Vice, Canadaland, and the Toronto Star. There's not one conservative. How can you have a good discussion when there's no diversity of thought? See, what fake news is when someone reports on something that is verifiably false or intentionally misleading. But to those on the left, it seems, fake news is anything that goes against the liberal narrative. The whole event was weird too. It just seemed that all fake news is to the panelists is clickbait articles, and that the term itself was co-opted by Donald Trump and his supporters to slam news they don't like, and that social media and memes trigger an emotional response to share fake news. They basically kept saying that same things over and over, that journalists need to be transparent, they need to stick together and survive, fake news is bad, we need to educate ourselves better, etc., etc. But the best part of the event, in my opinion, was when an international student from India asked this question.
My name is Prashant, firstly. My question is, have the liberal journalists kind of established their own moral standard, which has become like the norm that media should practice? And the reason why I ask that is, today at 9 p.m. news, Rachel Maddow can slander white men for being racist continuously and not get any sort of criticism. But if Tucker Carlson makes a criticizing remark against an immigrant, immediately sponsors come, ask him to back off, and everything put together. Why do you think this is happening today, and why is it so polarized, especially against the conservative news channels?
Sorry, are you asking that? Do you have an affiliation to also let us?
I have no affiliation. I'm just asking generally.
You're not here on behalf of any organization? You're asking that question as an individual?
I'm just a normal person.
Thank you.
Doesn't that seem a bit racist? They can't fathom why a minority would ask a question like that, so they're automatically suspicious of him, asking him who he works for. Look how long it takes them to answer this question.
You're not here on behalf of any organization? You're asking that question as an individual?
I'm just a normal person.
Thank you.
Does anyone wish to take that question?
Well, there's a lot going on in the question. I think that there's a lot of, well...
You could see the gears turning in their head. Remember how we got called out for being there? Yeah, well, nobody wanted to talk to us after that. But I did manage to talk to the student who asked the only tough question of the night. So you asked a question while you were in there. What was the question that you asked?
So
watching the news, I mean, I watch news regularly, both sides of the news. And what I kept figuring out is that there is one part when someone is offensive, it is not considered offensive, but when one particular group is offensive, it is. Wherein what I meant was basically when I watch a bunch of shows out there, MSNBC, they can go with whatever they want, versus Fox News are under constant criticism for what they say. So I just wanted to ask them what was going on. Is that some journalists have their own establishment, their own set of morals, or what they deem right, versus what's kind of neutral?
So if you're a liberal, if you're a liberal news site, you can say and be offensive as much as you want. But if you're conservative, then you can't really say or be offensive. You'll get in trouble.
That's the impression I'm getting right now. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that was the event. They didn't really talk about fake news at all. It seems like all fake news in their eyes are a couple of clickbait articles here and a couple of distasteful memes there. And that fake news is just a term the right uses to call out news they don't like. I don't know about you, but I think the mainstream media is full of shit. For the Rebel.media, I'm Adam, the Pathetic Millennial. Did you like that video? If you want to see more from me, Pathetic Millennial, and the rest of the Rebel team, like and subscribe.